tell me about topshelfcookies.com.
So Top Shelf Cookies is a cookie business out of Boston, specifically of the Dorchester neighborhood in Boston. And how I describe this is a craft cookie company. So similar to a craft brewer, where we're always rotating things in and out. We're really trying to use really good, sometimes unusual ingredients, and really take a lot of care in putting our recipes together. And for me, bonus points if I can get a Boston reference into the name.
Very nice, very nice. And now you don't have to be just in Boston to experience Top Shelf Cookies. You guys ship nationwide?
We ship nationwide. Yeah, it's great. And so we always get, it's kind of fun for us from a perspective. Like if the Bruins are in the playoffs, we'll see people sending out like our Bruins inspired cookies all over the country to their friends who are like ex-Bostonians and stuff like that. So that's always kind of a fun thing for us to be able to, we feel a little bit prouder when that stuff happens. So
I love that, especially running off of, I guess that was, what was that? Sam Adams did that a few times with different Super Bowls and things like that. So I like that. It's cool. Perfect.
yeah, so our good friends at Sam Adams. So
Tell a little bit about talk about your group gifting, and I'm assuming that also works with corporate sales. Have you seen with
yeah,
the remote work? Have you seen an increase in your corporate sales as far as companies buying for their customers and for their employees now as well?
and we're still here,
Perfect.
truthfully. So group gifting was something that we did well prior to COVID, and then when COVID hit, I lost 4 out of 5 of my revenue streams. So it was just e-commerce. We were just shipping cookies. But then what we found was that people were calling us and saying, "Hey, my team has worked from home. We want to send them some gifts." And what would happen was actually the first one was the ticket manager of the Red Sox called. She was a longtime customer, wanted to send them to her team. And then, so we sent out cookies to her team. And then the next week, I got a call from somebody who was like, "Hey, I live in a house with somebody who works for the Red Sox that got these cookies. And I think it's a great idea. Can I send 20 boxes out to my team?" Basically, it was like the whole, and they told 2 friends and they told 2 friends. So that kept us pretty busy during COVID. And then we actually built out our first brick and mortar bakery during COVID. So now we're actually doing a lot of corporate gifting. So like in the next 3 weeks, we will send out about 1,500 boxes.
Wow, excellent. So you guys,
Yeah.
from corporate gifts, you all baby showers, bridal showers, birthday parties. I mean, think of the myriad of different things. You guys are a 24/7 opportunity as far as implementation goes.
Yeah. I mean, most of it's congregated at Christmas. We do about 25% of our business for the entire year between Thanksgiving and Christmas, which is
Wow.
bananas. Absolutely crazy. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And then throughout the year, are you guys is the nationwide shipping something that came out of COVID as well, or was that something that you had implemented prior to COVID and got stronger with it from there?
No, actually, we had e-commerce basically, I think within 6 months of launching. And then strangely enough, you mentioned Sam Adams. We actually won a grant through their Brewing the American Dream in October of 19. And
That's
I took money towards our online channels. I figured that would be the best use of that money without knowing that investment in our online channels was really what was going to make us survive. So it is pretty cool because I recently saw Jim Cook at something and I was like, "Yeah, you know what I use that money for?" And he's like, "Holy smokes, like you could never know that that would have been what you needed." It got us ready for the storm that we didn't know was coming. We're very proud of it. They just hit 15 years and $100 million in loans given,
yeah,
which is so impressive. So yeah, we're big fans.
absolutely, absolutely. And as far as you also have the subscription models as well for the shipping. I think that
Yep.
personally, I think having a bunch of cookies delivered to my door would be fantastic. So, are you guys seeing a lot of growth as far as the subscription plan goes?
Yeah, so subscriptions were very strong, but I think what we're hitting now is where there are apps to find your subscriptions. So people are canceling them a little quicker and with budgetary, but I mean, we're still seeing like people are getting ready to gift them for the
Mhm.
holidays. So one of the things that we did to make it, I don't it's not predatory, right? But it is like you get a subscription and then it keeps renewing. which is great for the business, but sometimes not great for the consumer. So we actually set up our subscription so that it's very easy to be like auto renew or one series only. And we found that that is really helpful. So
Big rise in it at Christmas. Another one is Father's Day, because fathers are like big on buying everything that they need for themselves. So then when it's Father's Day, you're like, what am I going to get them? Cookies are always a good. God's like cookies. So yeah, so it still works, and I think that we've found a way to make it work that people feel comfortable, like they're not going to get hit again for the billing. You know, is it less advantageous as a business? Sure, but I'd rather have happy customers than the latter.
Things about your product as well. Tell me a little bit about your like somebody who's ordering from outside of Boston. Talk about your Boston inspired cookies a little bit.
Sure. So to bring it back to the beginning, I am a 20 plus year season ticket holder to the Bruins. And so literally just started Top Shelf Cookies out of a superstition. I would bring a cookie that I had kind of created called the Black and Gold. It's dark chocolate with peanut butter chips, and black and gold are the Bruins colors. And I would bring it to the bar before every single game as a superstition. Brought it every game that season. First game, I think I brought like 18 cookies in. The last game of the season, which happened to be game 7 of the Stanley Cup final, I think I brought 12 dozen into the bar that night. And they won the Stanley Cup, and I thought that was a good enough reason to quit my job and start a cookie company. So now
let me stop there.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm from Philadelphia, and we are a very superstitious place. Obviously, we have our own rivalries with Boston. And
Absolutely.
But aside from that, I have to compliment you, because out of all the superstitions and having buddies tossing wings during the touchdown, and then they got to stay in the kitchen, and you were outside during this last touchdown, you need to stay outside. You have just won the ultimate. The ultimate. That is the ultimate.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm still waiting for my Stanley Cup ring. It hasn't come, but that's okay. I have received a couple orders.
Right now, this needs to be heard right now, that the Boston Bruins need to bring that cup to you, and at least 5 minutes allow you to hold it.
Agreed. A picture with the cup with my season ticket holder benefits, so I'm not going to complain too much. And so that's pretty cool. So, so we have cookies for all 4 of the major sports teams. We do special cookies for the marathon with Sam Adams' 26.2 brew, which we call Left on Boylston, which is the last turn you make on the Boston Marathon. Our molasses cookie is called the Flood, for the Great Molasses Flood. So if I can find a way to get a reference in, I'm totally going to do it.
I absolutely love it. You even have a cookie called Dirty Water.
Yeah, that's my kitchen sink cookie. So it's everything that you can, and it's all Boston inspired cookies. So it's super fun. We have a good time with it.
Nationally, people are buying from you when they could buy down the street because they want your culture. And I think you really nailed that idea of infusing culture into the products. And that's kudos to you on that.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's something I'm proud of, and it's easy to brand, right? When it's who you are, it's easy. You don't have to work too hard to be something that you're not, because it's who I am.
Absolutely.
I'm a walking Boston stereotype. Only the good ones.
With that said, you professionally gave me a beautiful transition there. Tell me about yourself, your story prior to Top Shelf Cookies, and then what led your life into there. Obviously, it was the Boston Bruins game, but go a little prior for me and talk about how you're taking your life skills and infusing them into the business.
Yeah, so I was a cube dweller. I worked for a small lighting startup that I really loved. And so in that, when you work for a small startup, you get to wear a lot of hats, which is really cool. And our CFO, I worked in the finance department, but our CFO used to joke that I was like the biggest utility player, because he could put me anywhere. And I always really enjoyed that. And but then they got bought out by a very giant multinational company, and my job changed a lot. And it really sucked the life out of it for me, and I was really unhappy. So I'm even like that cup run. My boss was like, "When are you going to stop leaving early?" I'm like, "Well, first off, I'm just leaving on time to go to games, and like this is all I do. Like I don't have kids. The only time I leave work on time is to go to Bruins games." And it was just, I'm like, "Well, hopefully till like mid-June." And I was just like, "Are you kidding me? Like, what kind of boss says that? Like, you have something you care about." And I remember getting to the bar that afternoon and just saying to my friend, I'm like, I hate my job. I just wish I could quit my job and make cookies all day long. And this is a guy that's been my best friend for, now we're going on 25 years of being best friends. And he said, God, I was hoping you'd say that soon. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, well, everybody knows you're Mr. at your job. And I'm like, oh. And he goes, and everybody knows how much you like cookies. So like, why not give it a go? And so I took the next 2 years. I worked as much overtime at a job that I hated as I could, so I could pay down any personal debt. And then I went to work at a shared kitchen so that my entry would be low cost, right? And that way I could figure out like, do my friends like my cookies or do other people like my? And as it turned out, other people liked my cookies, so we kind of kept moving. And we took a slow and steady wins the race approach. Just celebrated 9 years in business. We just opened our first storefront, like I said, during COVID in 2021. So we've been open at the shop 2.5 years. That's almost like a whole other job. um, but it's awesome. And I really like it. Like every morning I kind of give myself like 3 things that I'm grateful for. And this morning I actually realized I hadn't done this in a while, but like I was like, wow, I get to make cookies as a job. And that's a cool ass job.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. And prior to when you did the transition, were you baking and giving out to your friends recreationally, or was it just an inherently private, passion for cookies?
Yeah, it definitely, I was sharing them with my friends. And as it became like, hey, this isn't just for fun anymore, like I'm going to try to make a job out of this, it'd be like recipe testing and dropping things off to friends and getting feedback and then getting help on like what would the name be and like what would we name some of these cookies, and because I had a lot of experience in different areas, I was able to do some of that stuff, but I had also gotten to know different people that handled, marketing and finance and things like that, so I really utilize those people.
Now, I have a question for you that are two perceptions of the logo that I took in the name. Now,
Yeah.
top shelf can be taken as the highest quality ingredients and the highest quality production. Or, for my issue, top shelf means the cookies go up there because they don't want to be in front of my eyes all the time because I'm going to eat them all the time. So, talk me through your naming and where you landed, how you landed on top shelf cookies.
So it's two things. Yes, high quality ingredients, but there's actually a call in hockey, and I wish it was a Bruins call, but it's not. When you score on a goalie over their shoulder, it's called going top shelf. And so there is a call that said he went top shelf where Mama hides the cookies.
Yeah.
And so here's the funnier part: when I went to go get the Twitter name, it was taken, and it was taken by a hockey blogger named Heather from Buffalo. And we ended up wheeling and dealing with her. She actually is a teacher in a low income area and was trying to raise funds for her classroom. So we got people to donate to her classroom, and she gave me the Twitter name.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's the hockey community. Like we have our long-standing hockey friends are the people that really, really look out for us, and they really spread the word through Twitter, big time, for us. So
In wholesale on retail shelves as well, or just in your store and shipping online?
and then we ship. Um, but in terms of store shelves, it's just not really a great fit for us. We did a little bit prior to COVID, but you have to be really careful with your partners because it's a fresh product without any preservatives, right? So it has a short shelf life. So you have to find somebody who cares about it as much as you do to make sure stuff doesn't stay on the shelf too long. And we just found that it wasn't really worthwhile. And right now with food costs being what they are, the margins are so thin in our industry that even shrinking them for wholesale is just not it's not worthwhile.
No, no, you're exactly right, and that's
Yeah,
that it takes a lot for people to understand sometimes that not every product is made for wholesale, and
right. Yeah,
everything works. And like you said, the shelf stability as well as the kind of relay and communication there doesn't really always work for that types of stuff. So yeah, you could definitely spend a lot of time on the shelves and collecting dust with having a great product. You just can be overlooked.
right. Absolutely, absolutely. And we do a lot of like special orders. So like we supply amenity cookies to a lot of Boston hotels. and that thing because we have the good Boston branding. So like the Boston Lager chocolate chip is like a fan favorite for hotels to give to their VIP guests and things like that. You know, it was funny. I was talking to, we got health inspected this morning. We did fine. But I was talking to the inspector about the difference in small business awareness from like at the beginning of COVID when everybody was like, oh my gosh, we have to help all these small businesses. And where it feels like there's been a change where it's like, you know, I know the economy is not people great or don't feel like they have enough money, but I think mindful spending is really important this holiday season. So, like, do you want to give your money to a big corporation that maybe doesn't pay its fair share in taxes, doesn't treat their employees well, or do you want to try to give it to somebody in your neighborhood who's going to spend the money in your neighborhood that's going to provide jobs, that's going to pay their fair share? And I think that's something to think about, even though the cost might be a little bit higher up front. Where's it going? And I think that's something to really think about. I'm planning on definitely doing.
Absolutely. Every dollar spent has a multiple for a local community that comes through. So that's
Absolutely.
a very powerful thing, especially during this holiday season, to remember that shop local and shop small. Spend big at small places.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think too, like you know, it's the old. I always kind of go back to the old Sesame Street. Like, who are the people in your neighborhood, right? And like getting to know the people that own businesses in your neighborhood, and not just when you need like a donation, but like go in and like learn about them, learn what made them this way, like why they sell cookies or whatever. And then you have a stronger neighborhood for that, and that's really cool.